Hello and welcome to the Daily Neloo. Today I'm here with writer and actor Kate Huffman.
Hello.
Hi Kate, welcome.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So Thursday is World Mental Health Day, and the videos I'm putting out this week are really focused on not just mental health but well-being in general, and this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to have Kate on this week. So Kate has this amazing show called I'm Too Fat for This Show, inspired by her own life experience for 20 years of living with an eating disorder and OCD. So Kate, tell me about the show.
I've had this incredible experience of sharing my story, and the reason that I hid it for so long was shame and guilt, and you're living a very, very lonely world because people judge these things. But a million things led me to writing it, primarily that I was in a really, really low place because I had all of this crippling chronic pain from the eating disorder, or so I thought. And I think we can be of service through art, and I thought maybe the only thing I can do is try to tell my story and see if that is of use to anyone. And
kind of help justify all the suffering you went through a little bit, right?
Well, I didn't know. It was terrifying. It was the scariest thing ever the week that I finally revealed this thing. It took me 2 years to write it. It was I hated everything. I ripped up drafts. I kept writing, and I needed to use comedy because I didn't feel that eating disorders had been discussed anywhere in media without just this huge melodrama that puts a wall up to stop people from really understanding. Because they're like, okay, we get it.
I remember the Lifetime movies.
I
watched
right?
probably like 6 or 7 of them when I was like 12.
We've seen you skipping your lunch, Terry. Why don't you just eat a pancake? So I really needed to do a comedic version of it that really gets to the heart of things. And the beauty of that I found once I started doing the show is that people with any kind of mental health issue, or just people trying to be a human in this world, can relate to it. Definitely given me a greater sense of purpose than I ever imagined. This thing that I hid forever, I now have run up to strangers in 20 cities and been like, hey, here's a picture of me in a bikini, come see this show and you're gonna love it. But I've seen how it's affected people, and I'm like, okay. Like right after I toured with my first tour with this show, when I got back, I remember thinking like, okay, I can die now. It's okay. I don't want to die, but if I did, I know I did something. No, not interested in dying. I want to do a lot more, but I was satisfied in a different way of like, okay, I did something for somebody at least. I know that much. Most of my adult life, I hated myself with such a deepness that I couldn't even express it. I could not say a single nice thing about myself out loud until I was 30 without cringing. Like I had shrinks try to just say, and I without either apologizing or cringing. It just felt completely wrong to my entire system to just be like, to just say something as simple as I'm smart.
Was there a trigger for that, or what allowed you to start being better to yourself?
I went through a very rough year in 2013, and again, this chronic pain was so crippling at that time. I would lay on the ground and not be able to move, and I went through a breakup that really threw me off, and my hair started falling out in big clumps, and so I couldn't work because I couldn't move my hands, and my agents dropped me. It just felt like every single category of my life was like, oh, I lost all my friends through the breakup. It was one of those kind of breakups, and they were just not there, and it was a very, very low point. And the way I got off the ground again, because I couldn't get off the ground, was I actually had a hypnotherapist come over who very much was really just taking me on really awesome, amazing guided meditation journeys. And I think that really launched me on a long journey of connecting to spirituality. I meditate every day. At that point, I hadn't written the show. I wouldn't start writing the show for another couple years.
Yeah.
But I can trace back where I am now in my spirituality to that time.
Let's talk about more specifically about what inspired you to actually start writing this, right? So you were living, and you were still in it, right? Like you were still living with the eating disorder.
Yes, very much. It was a present tense show in 2016 when it launched, and it was a lot like coming out of the closet, but nobody knew any of this stuff. My closest friends didn't really know anything. What I was interested in telling was the story of a functional eating disorder, the version of it that lives with you every day, even when you look totally fine to everybody else. Maybe you've gone through the bad part of it, but there's this entity that controls every area of your life that no one knows about. Every single thought or thing that you do at any point in the day is filtered through these guidelines, these rules. And when you hit them, this eating disorder thing is your best freaking friend. She pats you on the back, she gives you a hug,
Positive
she's like
reinforcement.
killing it. Yeah, and that's part of the show, is I wanted to see that side of things.
So Kate, I've seen your show once, and I'm going to go again this month. And you use comedy in a very strategic way in the writing, but also physical comedy. And I loved how deep you were able to take people with comedy.
Thanks. Well, when I first was lying on the ground in such pain and thinking there's no point to my life, and then somehow got the inspiration to tell the story, I thought I'd write a book. So I started writing a book, and then one day I was like, well, you're a performer, idiot. Just be a performer. And I was like, how can I shape the story in this way? And the reason it had to be comedy was, again, to get people in the seats and not be afraid they're going to see the Lifetime original movie. That's nothing against Lifetime, but you know.
They actually sponsored my show.
Shoot. Yeah, but I wanted to use the comedy. I don't know if anyone has seen Hannah Gadsby's Nanette, but she specifically, before she breaks it down, she talks about how, like, a comedian builds up tension and then breaks it. And that's how we kind of are able to make the audience, when you make the audience laugh, they relax. Mm-hmm. And then you can hit them.
Mm-hmm. Bring their guards down.
Yeah, yeah, they're there with you, they relate to it. It's like, we can laugh at this is okay, and then also be hit with the profound truths of the situation.
Yeah, the comedy is universal, and then this voice, the character that is on the big screen.
Yeah, it's a multimedia show.
Rewarding you and punishing you. That is also universal, so people can relate to both of those things, and it just gels together really well.
Yeah, it's anybody's inner demon, whatever version. I mean, and I've had men come up to me after the show in tears and be like, I related to everything, although for me it was, you're not successful enough.
How is creating this show, performing this show, sharing this show with so many people, how has that helped in your healing?
Such a shocking sense of self-healing. I did not expect that. Like, I did not predict.
You didn't set out to do it for that reason.
No. I don't know. I was going into this, so I thought I'd do it one weekend in Sherman Oaks and everyone would be like, that was weird, Kate. And then I would move on. But seeing how much it has meant to so many people, because it really has. I've gotten really long emails and phone calls and messages from strangers in different cities, and it's overwhelming, and it's like, that gave me a sense of self-acceptance around this thing that I was so very ashamed of. It's so relatable to so many people. People didn't say, get over yourself, why aren't you just better, which is like what I feared. And so I started to at least be able to change my self-talk or my feeling about myself of, you just have no right to exist, to, okay, maybe there's a reason to exist. But I was still very much in it, and I can't say that I'm out of it. There's a lot of OCD about counting calories and how long you work out and how much. The universe kind of forced me to grow even more by injuring 2 of my feet last year. 2 of my 17 feet. But I injured 1 foot for 4 months and then another for 2 months. So I was like forced in this place where I couldn't work out, which is like my life. And the fact that I am where I am right now and still kind to myself on a daily basis, and it wavers. The body kindness journey wavers every minute. Like 1 minute I could be like, you're awesome, I love where you are. And the next minute you're like, what are you doing? But the fact that I can be kind to myself at all in this point is like enormous progress, incredible progress.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier that I took diet pills for a long time and it caused issues.
We live in a diet culture where we are taught from when we are tiny that dieting is a normal thing. Little girls before they're 10 know that dieting is like a normal part of womanhood, and they're more afraid of getting fat than they are of their parents dying. So we're taught our bodies are a problem that need to be fixed, and then they sell us things that allow us to fix them, and then we are trapped in our bodies. We're not free to just be in our bodies because we're constantly wanting to control it and fix it. Jamil has the new like I Weigh thing, and she talks about body liberation, of just because body positivity, jumping from body negativity where we all usually live to body positivity can be very hard. But I love the idea of just not thinking about it. How much could we get done if we just weren't thinking about it? Because most of us think about it all day long, or at least often, no matter what, any second of the day, at any point. I needed to hope that I was in a calorie deficit.
It was the perfect storm, right? It was the analytical mind, it was the eating disorder, it was OCD all coming together. And you wanted to be an actress since you were very young, so you were already that kind of heightened the need to have a certain image.
And this was the 90s. There was no body diversity in the 90s. It's getting better, it really is. But in the 90s, it was like you had one option: stick thin.
If someone has a child that might, that might be a little overweight or underweight, what advice do you have for the parents?
I think raising a body positive child is very challenging, and it starts with it doesn't have to be challenging, but they will be presented with societal messaging, with diet culture, with fat phobia. It's so everywhere that we don't even see it. But if in your own household you can speak differently, don't ever comment on anyone's weight. Don't comment on your own weight. Don't comment on your own body. Don't assign morality to food, like, oh, I'm having a brownie, I'm being bad. No, there's no moral good to what you eat or don't eat. Like, if you can just disassociate that as much as possible, which is a challenge because probably most parents were raised in a diet culture. And but I would encourage people there's so many great podcasts, there's so many great resources around this out there that really do help in the parenting area. I myself am not a parent, but I drink in this body kindness stuff right now, and people really do break it down for you even more than I just did.
And if there's someone watching who does actually battle with an eating disorder, what advice do you have for them?
Forgive yourself. That's the biggest thing, is forgive yourself. This is a disease that feels like you're doing it to yourself, and that you could just get over it if you could just wake up and be better. But the very first step, even if you know you should be eating more but you can't, or you shouldn't be vomiting but you have to, and you just have to know that you're absolutely okay wherever you are right now. You're absolutely okay right there.
So for those of you who are in LA and you want to catch Kate's show, you're showing it twice this month, right? October 16th and the 23rd.
Yeah, it's a couple Wednesdays at 8 p.m.
Yeah, and then if you want to fly in, you're welcome to as well.
It's worth it.
Definitely.
Look at how nice I am to myself.
Thank you, Kate, for being
here.
here.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Really, really happy to have you here. Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.